So, do you ever just receive information like a download when you're driving? Like, sometimes it's the last place I would expect to receive it, and I do. That happened to me today. Hey friends, it's me, Erin, your friendly neighborhood energy alchemist, and this is what I received today. I don't typically get a ton of downloads of big chunks of information. It's more like a steady trickle of information. So when a big download happens, that's unusual for me. And usually it means it's important. So I'm going to share it with all my friends. So I was listening to a podcast with Jeremy Corbell, and he was talking about the jellyfish UAP. If you haven't checked it out, definitely look it up. Jeremy Corbell, jellyfish UAP, George Knapp, all those guys. Anyway, so I'm listening to this podcast, and I suddenly start remembering something Bashar said, and I don't know when he said it, but it was relatively recently because, I heard it relatively recently anyway. And what Bashar was talking about was that there are different levels of vibration all around us. When you think about what we can see on the visual spectrum, it's this big compared to massive amounts of information that's out there. Just think of infrared, think of thermal, all these things that we can't see with our eyeballs, right? Doesn't mean they're not there. Microwaves, radio waves, energy from the sun, wind. This is all stuff that's around you, but you can't see it, you can't perceive it. It's on a different energetic, vibrational level than you are. So this is where dimensions come in, right? The idea that these dimensions are all around us, but we can only perceive the dimension we currently are attuned to. So that dropped in. And then he started talking about how we are developing these glass walls between dimensions because the dimensions are becoming wider. For us, think of it like a radio. Normally you tune your radio to 101.9, let's just say. And because your stream is this long, you can only hear 101.9. But as your band of reception starts to widen, you start to get those radio stations that kind of cut in and out, you know what I mean? Like you suddenly start picking up from all over the place. And then you're getting two radio stations at once. You know that feeling. That's kind of weird, but it happened. So long story short, the download that I received this morning is that's kind of what's happening with our different dimensions. The things like these UAPs that we're seeing, I don't know what happened in the Miami Mall, and I'm not claiming to know what happened at the Miami Mall, but I'm saying something happened at the Miami Mall. Skinwalker Ranch is a hot spot, all kinds of stuff. And maybe it's not the idea that these beings are coming from other planets, but they're coming through the dimensions and tuning themselves to our dimension. And because our band of perception is widening as we evolve with Mother Gaia and all these energy ascensions we're going through, we can suddenly perceive these other dimensions like they're bumping up against each other. You know how sometimes when you explain something and it makes sense in your head and then you can't get it to make sense anywhere else? That's kind of how I feel right now. But either way, the very distinct feeling I got in the download is that the space between the dimensions is shrinking because our broadband, our ability to perceive other dimensions is widening as we ascend and as we raise our own individual vibrations. So these UAP that are starting to come through, it's like the two vibrational tones or whatever, realities, I don't know what to call them, layers maybe? Whatever it is. Think of it as they're kind of like this, right? And because our perception is widening, they're starting to bump up against each other like this. And when they do that, we are seeing the UAPs that are kind of coming through. That's not to say that there are not aliens on this dimension. I don't know. Like, I legitimately don't know. I feel like there are, but I don't know. But the space between dimensions is shrinking. So keep your eyes open and maybe just be open to the idea that there's something else out there. Because I'm telling you, it's only science fiction until it's not. Just try it. And today is such a great day.